Hi Yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach and welcome back to my crochet channel. Today we're going to make this fun gnome pillow. I'm calling it Gnome for the Holidays. It's super simple, no fancy stitches. You can see it's pretty much standard there. Only difference on the front is we're doing a beard and a nose and then some fun buttons that we added, and of course we added a pom-pom. Super fun. Don't worry, I'll show you how to make a really simple floofy pom-pom. It's not hard at all. And you can choose colors, you can choose buttons, and the truth of the matter is you could make one of these for every holiday. Make it in red and pink and white and put some hearts for Valentine's Day. Make it in bright spring colors or fall colors for fall. Or maybe you just want them around your house and you can do one for every month of the year. Because they're just so simple and cute. You could even add some braids, take off the beard, and it's a girl gnome. So lots of possibilities here. Get in your yarn stash and come up with some different colors. Variegateds, striping yarns, ombres, whatever you want to do. Now today we're doing Christmas colors, of course, and so that's why it's done in the red and sparkly, because it is a Christmas gnome. But again, have some fun with it. Now you can find the complete pattern on my blog, and as always I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. Now we're using all medium weight number 4 acrylic yarns. You can see I've got a Red Heart Super Saver here. This is I Love This Yarn in lime green. This is Vanna's Choice in just a cream. And then this, I don't know what it is. It's just a beige for the nose that I had in my yarn stash. So you can use any colors as long as it's a medium weight number 4 acrylic yarn. I'm going to do the lime green where I have the Christmas green. I'm going to use the pink where I have the Christmas red. We're going to do the beard in this cream color. And I think I'm going to mix the cream and the green and the pink for the pom-pom on this one. All right, and then of course the little nose is going to be out of the beige. Now I've got some fun buttons here that I'm going to use on this one because I want to make it fun and cheerful. And so I've got some gingerbread buttons, some spiral cookies, and a couple of Christmas cupcakes. I think that'll go real well with the colors that I'm using. All right, and so the buttons give your gnome some fun personality. That's why I use these sparkle ones that are snowflakes on the Christmas one. Now this is Christmas, it's just different colors, and I've been doing a lot of different patterns with this lime green and pink. I saw it in the store. I saw some of the sweaters this year are using this combination, and so I thought that would be great to do some of our Christmas project in the lime green and bright pink. Okay, so we're going to use our H hook, 5.0 millimeter crochet hook, and then you need a needle to sew your buttons on and weave in your ends, and a pair of scissors. And then the last thing you need, of course, is some polyester fiber fill. The amount is up to you. I don't like to stuff these real tight because I don't want it to pull the stitches apart. And also I want it to be super squishy. All right, so the amount of polyester fiber fill is up to you. All right? All righty, let's get started with our Gnome for the Holidays. We're going to start down here at the bottom, and you're going to need to make a front and a back. And we're going to do the front first. And we're going to start down here with our rose, and then we'll bring in our cream with our green, and then we'll work up the top of the hat. And then we'll make a second one, but it won't have the beard. So we have a back and a front. So I'm starting with the bottom color, which is my green. We're going to make our slip knot, and then we're going to loosely chain 26 chains. And it is important that you chain your chain a little bit loose because that's the bottom of our pillow and we don't want it all puckered in. All right, so 26 chains. I have chained 26 chains loosely, and we're going to start with our double crochet, and we're going to stitch our double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in each of those chains, working all the way across. One double crochet in each of our chains, working all the way across. We began in the 4th chain from the hook, and we're counting this first chain 3 as our first stitch. And so we have 24 double crochets. We're going to chain 3 and turn. Our chain 3 will count as a first double crochet on our rows. All right, so we'll go in the next double crochet and start stitching 1 double crochet in each stitch across. And we're going to do this for 2 more rows so that we have 3 rows of solid double crochet. So 1 double crochet in each of our stitches across. We'll chain 3 and turn and repeat for 3 rows of solid double crochets. So I repeated this row for 2 more rows, so we have 3 solid rows of double crochet with 24 stitches on each row. We're going to chain 3, and on this row we're going to begin bringing in the cream for our beard. All right, so our chain 3 counts as our first stitch, and we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we're going to bring in our white. So we're going to begin our double crochet, and we're going to finish those last 2 loops with our cream yarn. I'm using a cream, not white. Sorry, didn't mean to say that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 8 double crochets with our cream. We're going to stitch over our green. Oops, got the green one in the way there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to stitch our 8th stitch. We're going to start with our cream and bring our green back in, and then we're going to drop that cream. Don't forget to drop your cream color and stitch those last 8 stitches with your green, or whatever color you're using for the bottom half of your gnome. There's 6, 7, and 8. I'll go ahead and chain 3. And see how we did that? We stitched 7 more because our chain 3 counted as 1, so we have 8. On our last stitch, we finished with our next color. And you may need to pull that just a little bit so that it's not drooping. And then we did 8 in our cream color, but on our last stitch, we finished with our green and then stitched 8 double crochets. We're stitching over our green through the beard, but we're not stitching over the white on the green section. That just makes it so we don't have to cut our green yarn at the beginning and end of the starting points of where we're bringing in our beard. Okay, so this is how it should look at row 4. 8 green, 8 cream, or whatever color you're using for your beard, and 8 green. All right, let's do row 5. So we're going to pick up our work, turn our work. Our chain 3 counts as our first, and we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is our 6th one. We'll just start it. We'll bring our green here because we're going to stitch over it. We're going to grab our next color and finish off that last double crochet. And this is where it can look a little bit difficult because we need to stitch in that next stitch. And so you're just going to go over everything and go through it. Because we're stitching on the back side now, so we want it to look pretty on the front. Alright, and so now we're going to stitch in the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to pull that green string just a little bit. And now we'll do our 9th stitch. And we'll finish with the green. We'll make sure that that cream color is to the inside. We'll just drop it there. And then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in those last 7 stitches. Whoops. There we go. Alrighty, now we're going to chain 3. Alright, and so this is how it looks on the back. If when you're stitching you forget which side is the back side, look for where you brought in your cream color, and that will remind you that is the back side of your work, so that when you're doing up here, you'll drop that to the back. And when we're on this side, it looks nice and neat, and the strings are dropped to the back side. Alright, and so that is how row 5 looks. On row 6, we're going to chain 3, we're going to turn our work, and we're going to double crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that gives us 6 double crochets because we have our chain 3 that counts as our first, and then we stitched 5. Alright, now I'm going to take out that last loop because we're bringing in our new color. There we go. We're bringing our cream for our beard. And remember, we're going to stitch over that green yarn. So we'll go right in our next stitch here and stitch our cream color. And then we'll stitch right across. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And again, we'll begin our double crochet, change colors and finish it, and then we'll drop our white or cream to the back and stitch those last 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And chain 3. And so what we did is we started and we added an extra stitch on the end of each of our beard in order just to make it kind of fan out a little bit. I'm really loving it on this bright green too, by the way. All right, so this is how row 6 should look. You're going to have 6 green, 12 of your beard color, and 6 green. All right, let's do the next row. We've chained 3. We're going to turn our work. We're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. And that gives us 5 because our chain 3 counted as our first. All right, and again, we're going to take that loop out because we're going to bring in our color. We want to finish with our new color. Bring our green over. There we go. And now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the next 13. So we have a total of 14 double crochets in our cream color. And, you know, whatever color your beard is, whatever color your gnome is. And you want to pull that string of the other color, not tightly, but just so that it doesn't interfere and become loopy. And you will see it just a little bit, but my thought is that it's just peeking through the beard. Alrighty, one more. Give that a little bit of a tug there. Finish with your green. Make sure you bring that cream to the back of your work because we're working on the back side. And then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in those last 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And chain 3. All right, so this is how it looks on the back side. And then we turn it to the front, and that's how it looks on the front side. And I think stitching over that green, even though it peeks through a little bit, is much neater than having to cut your yarn at the beginning and edge. You could use 2 separate balls of yarn if you wanted to. Do this section and then bring in your next one. That would work as well. I just really like doing it this way. Remember, you do what works best for you. So on row 7, we have 5 double crochets in our green. We have 14 in our beard color and then 5. And so what you're going to do for the next 2 rows is you're going to repeat row 7. You'll do the row exactly like this for 2 more rows. So we're just repeating row 7 2 more times. So I completed those 2 additional rows exactly like row 7. So we're at row 9. You can see how our gnome beard is, and then this is the bottom of our gnome. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut off both color 1 and color 2. And now we're going to bring in color 3. And I'm using this super duper bright pink. Where does that string go? There it is. All right, so we're going to chain 3. And remember, anytime you change colors at the end of the row, make sure you do that beginning chain 3 in the next row's color because it counts as your first double crochet. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way across our row. No more color changing. Unless you just want to. And you certainly can. You can do whatever that you want. All right, so 1 double crochet in each of our stitches, working all the way across our row. I stitched 1 double crochet in each of my stitches across. We started with our chain 3. And so we have 24 double crochets. And each one of these rows has 24 double crochets up to this point, because even though we switched to white, we still had the same number of, or cream, I keep saying white, we still have the same number of stitches, all right? So I'm going to chain 3. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to begin in the next double crochet, and again, stitch 1 double crochet in each of those stitches, working all the way across. I told you, this pattern is super duper easy. I stitched 1 double crochet in each, so I have 24 double crochets. Again, this time we're only going to chain 1, and that's because we're going to begin decreasing or stitching 2 double crochets together on the ends of our rows in order to start forming the cone shape of our hat. All right, so what we're going to do, we chained 1, we're going to yarn over, go in the first double crochet and pull up a loop. Then we're going to go in the next double crochet and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the second 2. And what we did is we decreased by 1 stitch. And now we're going to double crochet in each stitch across until we reach those last 2 double crochets. And when we reach those last 2 double crochets, we're going to stitch those 2 double crochets together for a double crochet decrease. So I've stitched across, placing a double crochet in each stitch. Now I'm at those last 2, and so we're going to do here what we did at the beginning of this row. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, then go in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 3, yarn over and go through the next 2, and chain 1. And so now, instead of having 24 double crochets, we have 22, because we decreased by 1 at the beginning and at the end. All right, so now for row 13, we're going to turn our work and do the same thing. Yarn over, go in that first stitch, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 3, yarn over, and go through the second 2. Then we'll stitch across our row, stitching 1 double crochet in each of our double crochet stitches, and then we'll decrease with those last 2 stitches, just like we did at the beginning of this row. Again, I stitched across till I reached the last 2 stitches, and I'm going to stitch those last 2 stitches together for a double crochet decrease. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and you can already see how it's starting to curve up. And so now we'll do row 14 the same way. We stitched a double crochet decrease, and then I'm stitching 1 in each across until I reach that last 2 double crochets. So we had 20, and now we have 18 double crochets, because again, we're decreasing by 1 at the beginning and end of each row. All right, let's do row 15. So we'll turn our work, and remember, we only chain 1, not 3 on these rows. All right, so yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, go in the next one, pull up a loop. You already know how to do that, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to double crochet in each of the double crochets across until we reach that last 2 double crochets. And I think you've got this all figured out now, don't you? We're going to decrease at the beginning and end of each row until we're down to 6 double crochets. I have completed row 15, and on row 15 you have 16 double crochets. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to continue to repeat a double crochet decrease, or stitching 2 double crochets together at the beginning and end of each row, and you're going to repeat this for 5 more rows. And that will get you down to 6 double crochets. So we're going to repeat this, decreasing at the beginning and end of each row for 5 more rows. I continue to decrease down for 5 more rows, and on our 5th row we have 6 double crochets. All right, so now we're just going to cut our yarn. We'll tie that off, and we'll grab our needle and weave that in a minute. The next thing that we need to do is add a trim row right here, and it gives us a nice edge to our hat and a place for our nose to go so that it snuggles right up to that edge. So we're going to take our yarn and we're going to join right around that chain 3, and we're going to be stitching single crochets. Where'd the tail go? Oh, there it is. I'm going to get it out of the way. Around the post stitches on this row. I believe this is row 10, which is the first row of our hat. Okay, so what I do is I bend it like this so I can see exactly where those stitches are, and we'll go right around the post and stitch a single crochet. And we're just going to do this across. This is going to give us a nice edge on our hat. And also, like I said, a place to snug that nose up so it sits right under the edge of that hat. And let me fold this out so you can see how that looks. See, that gives us just a nice edge on our hat. All right? But I like folding it up. I think it makes it easier to find those stitches. So 1 single crochet around each of the posts of the double crochet stitches on row 10. So I completed that across. We're just going to cut that and tie that off. And so this is the front, and we do have some tidying up to do. I'm going to pull that to the back because that's a little bit short. There we go. Some ends to weave in here and here, and then here and here in the back. At the top, lots of ends to weave in. So I have tidied it all up. I've weaved in all my ends, and this is the front. And now you need to make another one for the back. The only difference is you don't add the beard. You just do all the rows in the solid color that you've chosen, which mine is green, and then the hat is done exactly the same, and we did that row right here of single crochets. So you have a front and a back. Now before we put these together, I want to make the nose and go ahead and attach the nose, and then I'll show you how to stitch them together. Alright, so I'm making my gnome nose in this beige color. We're going to start with the slip knot and chain 2 chains. 1 and 2. And now in the second chain, we're going to stitch 8 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now don't worry if there's a hole. We'll take our tail of yarn and close that up. All right, so we're going to join to that first half double crochet and just chain 1. And now we're going to stitch 2 half double crochets in each of those 8. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16 half double crochets. We'll join to that first one with a slip stitch, and I just have a small amount of yarn left here, so I'm going to go ahead and tie off. You need to have about 10 or 12 inches so we can sew that on to the top or to the front of the gnome's face. But before we do that, we need to close up this hole. Now, if you preferred to use the magic circle here, you certainly can. You do what works best for you. All right, so I'm just going to close this up, going around those stitches. We don't want a hole in the middle of our gnome's nose. All righty. So make sure that's securely weaved in. Oops, there we go. All right, so now it's ready to be sewn on to our gnome's face. So here's my gnome's nose. We're going to snug it right up under the edge of that hat, centered. You can pin it in place if you want to. I don't. I just hold it. All right, so we're going to go around these stitches. And what I do first is I do what I call like a basting stitch, and I just go around. And then I come back around and make sure it's securely sewn on. Now, I like mine to be kind of poochy so that it can be a little bit pooched out to look a little more like a nose than just a flat nose. And so as I'm going around, I'm sort of pushing it up. And see how it makes it a little bit 3D. All right, so then I look at it, I make sure I like where it's at. It seems to be centered well. Okay, and then I'll go around it again and making my stitches close together. I have a feeling this pillow is going to be played with quite a bit, so I want to make sure that nose isn't going to get pulled off easily. Alrighty, I'm going to take a look at that, see if that's pooching like I like it, and it is. I love it. I have a little bit of yarn left, so I'll just go around and see if there's any spots that need a little bit more sewing in place. It actually looks pretty good, so I'm not too worried about it. I think it's going to stay where it needs to be. Alrighty, so I'm just going to go to the back and weave that in. Sometimes I'll put the features on after I stuff the pillow, and sometimes I'll do it before. It just depends on the look that I'm looking for. And I do want to make sure this is going to stay on, so I'm weaving this in really good. All right. Now we're going to put them together with the right sides facing out. And we're going to join our yarn right here on the edge of the hat, and we're going to use the pink to begin with. And we're going to go around the hat, sewing the front and back together, evenly single crocheting all the way around. And then when we get over here, we're going to change to our green, and then we'll stitch all the way around over to about right here. We'll stuff it through this hole and then finish. All right, so we've joined our yarn in. We're going to try to keep everything lined up as best that we can. And the key to getting a good edge is to try to single crochet in those stitches and not the holes. And there is not a set amount of stitches that you need. You just need to look at it, try to keep your stitches close together, but not too close and not too far apart. You don't want them bunching, but you also don't want there to be space between. So just take your time and single crochet evenly around the top of our gnome's hat. And we're just going to move all the way up around. We'll go around the top and down this side. I have evenly single crocheted all the way around the top of the hat. I'm going to cut my pink off and bring back in my green because I want to do the bottom half of my gnome in the green color. We will have to weave these ends in on the side here, but it looks much neater if the bottom half of our gnome is in the same color of what we stitched it in. Okay, so we're just going to single crochet down the side. There we go. Working in the sides of those stitches so we get a nice even appearance. And we'll do this all the way around over here, and then we'll leave this hole and we'll stuff our gnome. So we stitched around the top of the hat, then we changed to our bottom color, our green, and we stitched around there evenly, single crochets, left an opening, so now we're going to stuff it. And I like to do a little bit like up in the hat first, and then fill the rest in. And I really love this soft polyfill that I got this time. I bought a box online, and it's super soft. I don't know the brand of it. I just went online and found a box. I think it just said polyester fiberfill on it. It's really soft, and I like it a lot. And it's squishy, and it works perfect for pillows. All right, so I'm going to make sure I get some down in the corners. All right, so it's nice and stuffed. And now I'm just going to finish single crocheting this opening closed and then join back over here. And then the last thing we'll have to do is add some buttons and a pom-pom. I hope you picked out some fun buttons for your gnome. So my gnome is all stitched together, and I tidied in my ends, all weaved in, and now we just need to make a pom-pom and add some cute buttons. All right, so let me show you how I make a pom-pom. This is a template that I made. It's a 4.34 inch template. You can also use your hand if you want. But I want to make a nice big floofy one. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut a piece of yarn that we're going to use to hold our pom-pom together. We can also use that to attach it to the hat. And I decided on this one, I want to do some of the pink and green in it, but not a lot of it, just a little bit. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to grab this like this, and we're going to do some wraps around with all the colors. And then I'm going to cut off the pink and green one. There we go. And then I'm going to do quite a bit more wraps with just the white or the cream. I know, I keep saying white, but it is a cream color. And I'm just going to do a few more wraps. It doesn't have to be a real thick pom-pom, but it can be if you want it to be. And remember, we want it to be just a little bit floofy. And the definition of floofy is with longer strands of yarn and less. Okay? So I'm going to slide this off my template. And I just made this off of an old shipping box that I received. All right, so now we have all the loops. And we're going to take this string, and I'm just going to lay it across there. The size of the pom-pom is totally up to you. You can make longer strands or shorter strands, more strands, less strands. It's totally up to you and the look you want for your gnome. All right, so I'm going to tie that nice and snug. There we go. I'm going to tie it again. And now remember, when I start clipping these strands, we don't want to clip the two that we're going to tie with, okay? I'm just going to use this container to catch all of my strands. All right, and then I'm just going to shake it a little bit. And then I look at it to see if there's any strands that I missed. And I can see there's a couple over here. All right, now I'm going to grab my bigger scissors because I want to trim this. All right, so what I do is I kind of push it down. And see how there's some crazy ones in there? We'll just clip those off. I don't want it to be super even. I don't want it to be super perfect. I want it to be floofy. All right. And so that's how you make a floofy pom-pom. If you don't want it quite this floofy, you can cut it down and make it even shorter. Like maybe I'll just trim it a little bit. So it's not quite so long. It's just kind of the look that you're going for. And I love how there's just a little bit of the pink and green in there, but mostly the cream. All right, so now I just take my pillow. And remember, don't cut those long strands. And we'll go up here on the top. And we're just going to go, don't go in the edge where you did your single crochet. Go under that so that it's nice and secure. Okay, so we'll grab one of those strands. Then we'll go to the next one. We're just centering this on the top of the hat. All right. We want to tie this on so it's not going to come off. So I'm going to do that 3 thing that I do. 1, 2, and then I do that other knot. I think it holds it nice and secure. All right, and then I usually just cut it about the same length as the pom-pom. That way, when the pom-pom's flipping over, it just covers it right up. And I absolutely love how that pom-pom looks. I've already placed some of the fun buttons that I chose on here randomly. One thing you can also do if you don't want to sew them on, you can always put them on with hot glue or even E6000, but E6000 takes a while to dry. But I've got these cupcakes and peppermint swirls and gingerbread boys just randomly placed on here. I'm going to put this gingerbread boy down here to show you how I do that. And so what I do is I'm using the yarn that's the same color. Like these I sewed on with pink, these I sewed on with green. It just kind of helps hide your stitches. So I'm going to go in 2 stitches and make a loop. All right, I want to make sure I'm going the right direction in the back of that gingerbread boy. And I just go through there. I try not to go in the same, it's the same stitch, just not the same loop. All right. All right, so now I'm down underneath that gingerbread boy, that button. And so now I'm just going to make a couple of knots. Move his little leg there. Underneath, and we're going to snug that down. Make a couple of knots here. Now hold that on. And then I'll grab my crochet hook. I'm going to trim this some because that's really long. And then I'll just grab my crochet hook and pull those strands inside and hide them. Isn't this a super fun Friday Fun Day project? I just had so much fun with this, and my brain is just swirling with all the different gnomes that I could make. Sunflower gnomes, toadstool gnomes, garden gnomes, of course, but all the holidays, you know, fall, add leaves, just so much fun that we can have with our Home for the Holidays gnomes. They're just so much fun, so easy, and with all the different embellishments, you personalize it. So fun.